Eee! What is going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? My name is Dr. Coach Sarfo, and I'm checking in from what was a sunny day here in Los Angeles, California. And I have a very special episode for you all. Somebody DM me with this idea, and I thought it was so brilliant. So I was like, I can't wait till tomorrow. We have to hop on and we have to talk about this tonight. Of course, tomorrow I'm gonna, be live again tomorrow night for the regularly scheduled episode of the show. But I thought this was such a fantastic idea. I was like, ooh, let me hop on the stream and let's talk about this for sure. So before we get into it, y'all know the drill. Let me know where you all are checking in from and let me know your name. All right. Yo, Roniel, that's a dope name. What's going on? How you doing? Chelsea, what's up? Ron Jeter, what's good? What's good? Lisa, yeah, this is a good topic. I got three really good rules for y'all. Glad I didn't miss the clapping. I'm glad you didn't miss it too. Leilani, what's going on? How you doing? How are y'all doing? We got Julia from Michigan. We got Jaden, what's up? We got Taylor from Maryland. Okay. I said that really southern. I said Maryland. Maryland. Destiny, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Of course, I love compliments. Can you, Travis, my fault, my guy. What's up? What's up? What's up? I need the answers. We're about to get into it. Indiana, Laredo, Texas, Atlanta. All right. Let me see. Who? Catherine from Bakersfield. Somebody was from Indy. Okay, respect. I hope you're not a Colts fan because I'm a Titans fan. But for the purposes of this live, AJ, welcome to the Facebook family or the online community. All right, let's get into it. The 3 ADHD dating rules, right? So if you've been keeping up with my page, you know that I've been talking about ADHD and relationships and why relationships can be very difficult for somebody with ADHD. And this is a topic that I could talk about for hours on end. Like if y'all allow me to, I can talk about this for 3 hours. Like don't question my ability to ramble on and on about ADHD and relationships. But I'm coming from professional experience. No, I'm using my professional experience tonight, and I'm also coming from me as somebody who has ADHD myself, patterns that I've recognized in the past when I've been dating. I've taken all of that and I've come up with 3 rules for you all. 3 rules that I think can be helpful when it comes to dating with ADHD. So let me drop the first one in, and I'll be reading you all's comments and feedback, throughout the live stream. But this is a very first rule right here. I can't overstate how important this is. But here's a very, very first rule. I lost my tab. I got so many tabs open I can't see where I'm at. All right, cool. All right, this is the very first rule right here. Your page has changed my life. Jessica, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I love seeing those comments, and like I said, I'm having fun on this page. We're talking about mental health, but we're making it fun, and I really appreciate every single person on this page. I really do. I really appreciate y'all. So the very first rule, the first ADHD dating rule, go slow. Don't make too many plans in advance. I got to say it again. Go slow. Do not make too many plans in advance. And first of all, let's talk about why we tend to make so many plans in advance, right? With ADHD, our brains are craving stimulation, right? So we're looking for stimulation from everywhere, and that could be sex, it could be drugs, right? I saw somebody talk about cannabis. It could be marijuana, it could be video games, it could be food, right? But we're looking for stimulation constantly, right? That's where we kind of thrive off of, right? So we like those highs, sometimes that's why we tend to take risks, so when you meet somebody and you like them and they like you back, it's rare that we find mutual thirst, right? And when you're really digging somebody and they like you back, it's a beautiful feeling. But the tendency to overcommit and to start planning out things in advance is high, right? And I've done this before in the past, and there's this phrase I see online. Girls will post it from time to time. Girls will say, if you're gonna start, keep the same energy, right? Essentially, the meme is keep the same energy. It's saying that guys will start dating you, and after a while, the energy drops off, right? And I, am guilty of that. I'm definitely guilty of that. And as I got older, I realized it was my ADHD. Like, I would like somebody, I'm like, oh, this girl is gonna be my wife, X, Y, and Z. You start booking all these dates, blah blah. You want to go here, take all these trips, and then once the dopamine wears off, and then you see the person for who they are, and they see you for who you are. A very sad thing can happen because the person might not be a bad person, but then you're like, I don't know if I want this to be my partner for real. But at that point, I've invested so much time and energy into dates, and I got to know the girl, I got to meet her dad, I got to meet her mom. But maybe that wasn't your person, right? So go slow. Do not make too many plans in advance. This is so important because it prevents pain on both sides. And at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we want to be treated with respect. So when somebody is chasing after you and it looks like it's love bombing, and all of a sudden the energy just stops, you might feel like, was I enough, or did I do something to make the person not want me? But sometimes it may just have been that the hyperfixation is over, and when hyperfixation is another person and is over, it can be painful. That's different for me. Trying to learn golf, right? Let's say I have a hyperfixation of golf. If I don't want to play golf anymore, I just drop the golf clubs. I'm done. But with a person, I mean, you can drop a person too, but it just doesn't feel, it doesn't feel as good, right? And let me get some of you all's comments before I move to the second point. Dopamine searching is a catalyst to addiction. So Melvin, I like what you said right here. So let me give Melvin a love of the show. Because you give me a chance to talk about something very important, right? A lot of times people with undiagnosed ADHD, they tend to self-medicate, whether it's marijuana, alcohol, or opiates, whatever it is. The tendency to self-medicate is high because you feel like, you might not be at your equilibrium. And if you find a substance that helps you feel a certain type of way, that could lead to addiction. I'm not saying that it always does, but it could lead to addiction. So thank you for bringing that point up. Nikki says, I have ADHD and my husband is autistic. We live by this rule still. Go slow and be simple. It's helped a lot outside of our relationship. Nikki, I love this. Nikki, I love the fact that you're married and you and your husband, you're still going by this rule, because when you marry somebody, you don't want to stop dating them, right? I think in a relationship, there's two dangerous things that you don't want to do. And maybe we can talk about this in a different live, but I firmly believe that in a relationship, if you stop doing these two things, the relationship is probably in trouble. If you stop having sex, number one, and number two, if you were having sex already, and then number two, if you stop going on dates, once those things kind of lead a relationship, it almost always ends. At least that's what I've seen in my professional experience. I don't have the stats to back it up, but that's something that I would love to look into. And Dion says, "Amen. As one with ADHD, I don't AGF. What kind of plans you make? If it ain't all within the same week, you lost me, and I will get bored quickly." Dion, I respect it. I respect it. I love the show. And Dylan, I said that people, if you have undiagnosed ADHD, sometimes people could self-medicate with different substances. But we've talked about marijuana and and ADHD before, but we can talk about it again. I might have another live about that. Last time I checked, Facebook didn't have an issue with me talking about it. But if Facebook has an issue, then we're not going to go there. We just won't talk about it. But there is a connection between people who have ADHD and people who use cannabis on a regular basis. All right. Veterans have a habit of rushing into relationships and marriages. I've seen that before, but I don't know if that's all veterans. But I mean, I've seen that before, but I can't say all veterans. Sarah says, wish I could find the guy that understands me for me. Sarah, you will. You just haven't found him yet, right? I just haven't found it yet. All right, let me get to a couple more viewers, comments. Man, if this didn't hit the nail on the head. Oh boy. Let me see. I definitely get bored quickly. Yes, and this is an ADHD thing, from what I've seen, but you could also not have ADHD and you could also get bored quickly, right? So, I do want to mention that. Janina says, I have a tendency to make fresh decisions and commitments too quickly. How do you take it slow without losing interest and looking elsewhere? This is a good ass question right here, Janina. Ooh, before I can even move on to the second point, I gotta answer this question. But Shanita, I have to give you a love of the show because this question is making me think. That's why I'm thinking right now. I'm trying to buy myself some time. But I gotta give you a love of the show for that because to be honest, I'm gonna be fully transparent with you all because to my knowledge, I haven't lied to y'all, and I like being transparent with you all. But when I was younger, right, and before I was diagnosed with ADHD, I did not know I didn't know how to, go slow without losing interest. So what I would do is, I would like talk to, and I think there's nothing wrong with talking to multiple people at the same time, but like I'd be heavily invested into like maybe 3 or 4 girls at the same time. And in my head, I'm like, all right, the one that I talk to the longest will eventually just be my girlfriend. But that's how I was able to pace myself. I know it sounds weird, right? But this is a non-judgmental zone, right? So we don't judge. But if I split my time up, this is how I thought in undergrad, right? And people still may think this way, but I thought if I split my time up between getting to know 3 or 4 different girls, then that way I'm not going to pursue one girl with so much like energy and like scare her away, so that's one way to do it. But if you're looking for healthier ways to do it, what you could do is you could make yourself so busy in your life that you only give yourself maybe 5 to 10% of your energy to date, right? That would accomplish the same thing as talking to multiple people. If you're spending like, let's say, 20% of your free time dating and talking to potential partners, cut that down to like 5% of your free time, right? And let's focus on doing other things in our lives, and let's focus on cleaning the garage or getting ahead in other areas, and let's cut down that time that we have to date, right? So that way you don't like maybe become over obsessed with one person, or you lose interest and look elsewhere. So that's my best answer for you. But thank you for asking that question because it's a struggle. I felt that one personally. And Monique, yes, all the live videos are available for playback. I did realize that like on the East Coast, it's like 11 o'clock. We're going to be live for like at least another good 20-30 minutes. But if you have to leave, this will be here tomorrow. So just keep that in mind if you got to go to sleep or something like that. Distractions are key. Kyle, you feel me, right? This is why I like having like the guys in the stream because the guys see where I'm coming from, right? Chrissy says find someone that's worth your interest. Chrissy, I agree, but sometimes it takes a while to find that person, right? That's the whole point of dating, right? We take our time to find somebody that we can vibe with. All right, so here's the second ADHD dating rule. And this is a very, very, very important rule. I don't know when I came up with this rule, but I thought of it randomly. And I'm like, I love this rule. I really, really love this rule. All right. So, and you can use this rule for even if you are sure about the person, right? But the second rule right here is when you're unsure about the person and how much you like them or if you like them, spend only 1 day a week with them. And I've never seen anybody give this type of advice before. So I'm not even sure if this is correct. Keep in mind, this is not evidence-based information. This is just Dr. Kojo's, ADHD dating rules, but I don't have evidence to back this up. So this is not like factual, but this is just like my best like educational tip, right? If you're unsure, right, spend just 1 day a week with them, and the reason why I say this is because if you spend, let's say today was Monday, right? Let's say you hung out with them today and you had a good time. What's the natural tendency? You're going to want to see them the next day or the next day after that or on Friday, right? You're going to want to see that person. So if you force yourself to take like, some time in between seeing that person you can still FaceTime them, call them, but if you give yourself some time to just breathe, you may start to see that, dang, you know what? I don't really like this person, or hey, I like this person a lot. Like I think I want to pursue something, with this person. This person, we have some type of chemistry or potential here. But when you pause and you put time in between the dates or the hangouts or whatever you call it, you give yourself time to see things for how they actually are, right? you can start to evaluate the person based off of what they're bringing versus potential, right? When you start to look at potential, you start to get sad because you're going to get disappointed at some point because, like, the idea that the version of that person that you have in your head is not congruent to what you're actually seeing, right? Sometimes in dating, a mistake that some of us make is we'll pick somebody, right, and say, that's my person. I'm going to make that person my person. But in all actuality, dating should be, hey, I think this person is pretty cool. I'm gonna just vibe with them and kick it for a little bit and see where things go. Right? You should see where things go. But if you're spending every single waking moment with them, you're not gonna have the chance to see where things go. Right? And if you like if I hang out with somebody for a whole week straight, right, and then she doesn't hear from me for a whole week after that, then it's like it looks like love bombing. Like, what do you mean? We're hanging out every single day. You spent the night over for like 7 days in a row, and then the next week, all of a sudden, oh, I'm busy. I got to get back to life. That's gonna feel like love bombing. I don't think it's fair. If you do that without realizing that that's what you're doing, that's one thing, right? But once you start to pick up on patterns and you're like I have a tendency to kind of like be impulsive or kind of like go quick, it forces you to just pause. Sometimes the best thing in life that we can do is just relax, right? Sometimes I'll tell myself to just Koja, relax, just relax and breathe. Jake said it was fun while it lasted. And slow is the way to go. Slow is the way to go. And Vanessa says that's a great rule to follow. I agree. This makes a lot of sense. And Vanessa, I think now you don't have to tell the person that you're dating, hey, I have ADHD, so I'm going to implement this rule. But you can just say something as as simple as, hey, like when I date people, I like to just kind of take my time and see where things go. So and my schedule is also busy, so like we'd probably get to hang out like once a week, and we can go out or do something or catch a movie or get to know each other. But I have one day a week that I could dedicate to getting to know you. Sometimes letting somebody know that off the rip, and might let them feel a bit more comfortable, because that way they're not like, oh, what's this person? Are they trying to play me like a yo-yo? So if you feel comfortable and you can tell your potential partner that from the jump, it might not be such a bad idea. And AJ says this is so hard when you're also. So AJ, my second tip, which was only spend one day a week with them if you're unsure. It's hard, especially if you're a people pleaser, but that's why it's a tip. It's not something that everybody can do, right? And look, I'm giving you all this advice, right? I'm giving you all this advice, but if let's say I meet somebody, or I don't want to name drop a celebrity because I might actually meet that celebrity, but let's just say I meet a girl, I'm vibing with her or whatever, and we hang out Monday. I might break my own rule and we may hang out Saturday, right? It might not be like a full 7. It doesn't have to be like exactly. And maybe even for you, maybe it's twice a week or 3 times a week as opposed to 7 days. The whole purpose of the rule is that if you know that you have this condition, which makes you potentially more impulsive, right? And it makes you overcommit sometimes, you can account for that by saying, hey, I know how I am, and ADHD is not going anywhere. There's a myth that's you grow out of it, and no, for the most part, like it's going to stay with us as we become older and older. And as you become an adult, and adulting is hard with inflation, with unemployment, with job uncertainty, with all these things, and just life is difficult to be an adult and take care of yourself. So you throw in ADHD, it can be that much more difficult, right? So it's not going anywhere. We have to figure out how to take care of ourselves, right? Still go get therapy and medications and all those things, but sometimes it's not enough. We need to know like a couple of tips and tricks to help us, go throughout the day while keeping our self-esteem up as well. So that's why I say if you have to, like one day a week or 2 days a week. And I'm trying to get to a couple more of these comments. Grow out of it. I feel like it's more getting. Yeah, Tanya, I agree. Like it's not, the ADHD is not going anywhere, right? And Jason said, I wish you would talk about that. Jason, what did you say up top? What did you say up top? Let me read this in the meantime. I left my wife and moved out of my marital home on an impulse. Well, Josh, thank you for sharing. And that's the that's one of the things I like about this community, right? Like it's supposed to be a safe space where we can talk about what's going on without feeling like people are judging us. And like I've worked with patients before where I've heard stories just like this, and ADHD or whatever was going on, so acknowledging that, okay, I get a little bit impulsive, and I tend to do these things that I'm not proud of, how can I account for that? Just getting there with that thought process, whatever comes after that, I'm pretty confident that you'll start to put together a couple of steps that can help to improve your life. And yeah, I see that the comments about the trash day. Thank you for saying that, y'all. My trash day is actually Wednesday, but it's never actually I do have the trash out in front. Jason says, can you tell me your thoughts on exercise for people with ADHD? Jason, if you ask me, even though we're not talking about exercise and we're talking about dating, but if you ask me, exercise is mandatory for somebody with ADHD, in my opinion. I feel like it's a non-negotiable. And I always tell people, you don't have to go lift heavy weights like me. Just go for like a little 10 to 15 minute brisk walk, and then that's exercise. Don't overdo it. Just a little bit of walk, something on your lunch break, put on your favorite music, put on like a little podcast, something like that. And just go for like a quick little, brisk walk. And for me, like that counts as exercise. Let me get to the third rule right here. All right, so this is a very important rule. But let me refresh the comments first, real quick. I took out all my recycling tonight. Shout out to Jesse on that. This is such a great topic to cover. Kendra, I appreciate you because this is something that I should watch after the fact. I should watch this live and just let these things stick in my head. Dancing helps my dopamine. Dancing is a game changer. Dancing is big. Dancing is big. Derek, I'm undiagnosed, but you made me aware. Hey, Derek, I appreciate you, my guy. I appreciate you. And Jenna, yeah, I'm actually going to post some tips about this because I've been talking about sensory issues. But one thing you could do is boundaries, like telling somebody, hey, the bright lights, the loud music is kind of disturbing me. And, speaking up for yourself is very helpful with that. All right. So here's the third ADHD dating rule, right? And this one can be difficult for a couple of reasons, but let me drop it in there and then let me explain why. All right, so binaural beats. Lilari, I'm not even sure what that is. I'm not gonna lie. Right here, boom. The third tip: when there's no connection, end things as quickly as possible. I wish I had this advice like 10 years ago. It could have saved a lot of trouble, but I guess I learned. But when there's no connection, end things as quickly as possible. This is very important for a couple of reasons, because if you're headed towards a relationship with somebody and you really, really like them, for this live, I'm talking about people who want to be in like a relationship, whatever type of relationship it is, it's a relationship. So if it's a situation where, let's say, just like a hookup thing, or like, then just do as you please, right? But I'm trying to prevent people who want relationships from getting hurt, right? If you're headed towards a relationship and you realize that there's just no connection here, the best thing that you can do is to end things as quickly as possible. And this is hard because, first of all, you have to confront the person some way, somehow. And you have to have a difficult conversation where it's like, there's no connection here, or like maybe we can be friends, and maybe the person doesn't want to be friends, and maybe you don't want to be friends, but you're just saying that so that you can like find a way to like let them down easy, right? But it's important because if there's no connection and you don't end things, right? The way our brains are, we're looking for dopamine hits anywhere we can find it. So you might just get bored. And then you decide to link up with that person again, and then you'll have a fun week, and then you start to delude yourself, and you start to think, oh wow, you know what? I think we could be something. I think we can date. Like I think we have a future. And then after a while, you're reminded about why you felt that way about that person and why you didn't want to date them in the first place, right? But you got bored, or you just maybe it was a hookup, or whatever it was, right? But when you and that person, in your heads, you're working towards a relationship, but you realize that you can't get there because you're just not compatible, but you continue to linger around in that gray area. What that's going to do is it's going to bring a lot of pain, frustration, hurt feelings. And sometimes, whether you know it or not, you may be like dumping additional like relationship trauma on top of whatever trauma you already have, right? You're just like collecting trauma like infinity stones. And then you meet the person that you want to pursue something with, but by that point you're like emotionally gassed out, like you're drained, like your emotional availability is on like a -5%, because you spent the time that you could have been like resting, or like healing emotionally, going back and forth with somebody that you knew you didn't want to be with, but you're like, it's the best I could do for now, or whatever or I was bored, right? Whatever the reason was. But I think it's important when, like, if it's not working, just dead it. Just dead it, right? Just let it go before the feelings get involved, because at that point it becomes pretty difficult to let it go. And Leilani, I can't click a YouTube video from StreamYard, but like just send it. I'll do my best to check it out a little bit later. Heather said that. Oh yeah. Heather, no, that is a toxic relationship cycle, right? You break up with them, and then you get back with them, and you break up again, and you get back, and then you're like, oh, you haven't found anybody? No. Have you found somebody? Oh no. You get right back, and then you start doing it all over again, and then each time you break up, that's like a little bit of trauma, right? Like I said, you're collecting trauma like infinity stones. You break up with a person, and then you become consumed with like, all right, so we were broke up for like a month. Did you sleep with somebody? Did you, like you do that over and over and over again. And what you're doing, and like I'm talking about myself, like I'm talking about like how, like myself in the past, and at least for me, like it kind of emotionally drained me out. And then I realized I'm like, I have no availability. Like I need some time to just like chill out for myself a little bit, and then you can go back out there, once again. And Janice says you can't find Mr. Right. Hey, I agree. I completely agree, and vice versa, right? I have so many issues with dopamine deficiencies while in a relationship. Kyle, and look, Kyle, once again, thank you for sharing. Like I get hyped when I see guys on here, being transparent, because this is a real issue, right? When you're in a relationship and you have a dopamine deficiency, like how are you going to fill in that void, right? Like you're Kyle, you might be with like the girl of your dreams, or like the partner of your dreams, and like you could be frustrated, and you could be sitting there like, I love this person. This is a person that I wanted to get, and now I have this person, but why am I still like chasing things? Like, why is this person not enough, right? And once you realize that it's because ADHD is a brain-based disorder, and like you're chasing that thrill, then you stop blaming yourself for what you've done in the past, and we're still responsible for what our future actions are, right? So just because we have a dopamine deficiency doesn't mean that we can cheat, assuming it's a monogamous relationship, and like that's what y'all agree to. It doesn't mean that we can cheat and then say, oh, my bad, I got bored, right? That's not gonna fly, but it does mean that, okay, it's an explanation, so why, you know why somebody might feel understimulated, and why they might seek stimulation in the form of drugs, sex, whatever the case may be. But I think it's something that we should definitely talk about. Like the fact that we're even having conversations about this, I think it goes a long way. And just says, "Ooh, talk about rejection sensitive to dysphoria." I think he meant dysphoria, which is it's not a symptom of ADHD, but it's something that people with ADHD can experience, where you feel emotions intensely, especially like emotions like rejection. You feel like it's a personal attack against you. And this is why that third point, my third rule was when there's no connection, just ending right then and there. That's why it's so important, right? Because if you're breaking up with somebody, you're getting back, and you're doing that back and forth, right? Every time that y'all break up, right? You're feeling that pain intensely. So like you're re-experiencing this pain over and over and over and over again. And one time is too many, right? So 5 times, like we're kind of wearing ourselves out emotionally, right? And can hormones play a part in ADHD? Yes, they can. And we're gonna have a whole live dedicated. Well, actually, we've had one before, but we can have another one dedicated to hormones and ADHD, and especially like when a woman becomes pregnant and after pregnancy. Technically during pregnancy, um, if I'm not wrong, a woman. Oh, I think I may have it mixed up. But I think during pregnancy or the period afterwards, it actually becomes slightly easier to manage your ADHD. But then after that, it can become difficult. But let me go and look over the evidence one more time, and I'll bring it back for y'all. Because that one, I want to make sure that I have the facts, right? So let me get the facts on that one, and then we can have a live about that. Because I definitely want to talk about that. And PMDD. Oh, Jesse, if you're talking about ADHD and PMDD, that can be very difficult, right? And especially if they're undiagnosed, right? If this is what you're going through and your partner has no idea, they could think that, man, like this is a monster, until they figure out, oh, this is an actual mental health condition, and that y'all can work together to come to a solution. So Jesse, thank you for the idea. I will make sure that we have that live. Cassie, yeah, this is another thing with ADHD relationships, like up and down sex drive, and it takes two to have sex, right? Normally, right? And the issue is when one partner, the issue is when one person's drive is here and the other's is like right here, right? It's not balanced. If it's both low, then fine, like right, you just rather play cards. If it's both high, hey, you're gonna be having a lot of fun, right? Like you're all the way up here, you're having fun, great. But when it's like imbalanced, it can be difficult. Like one person's gonna feel like their needs are not being met, and that could lead to issues, right? So just communicating with your partner, it might not solve the problem, but communicating so that they know that, oh, this is what's going on. I just don't feel like, I just don't have it within me. At least that way they see where you're coming from. My ex and I did that several times around our 40 years. The last time I put boundaries, Gray walled him and filed for divorce. He moved to East Coast, finally free from the cycle. Renee, I'm happy that you feel better about where you are right now, but I'm sorry that you went through all that back and forth. So I talked about this a little bit earlier, but over time, hopefully we can get to the point where our desire to treat our ADHD and to make progress becomes a little bit more important than other people's opinions, and then as you stop caring about people's opinions, or as you care like a little less, I think it becomes easier to like kick the habit of people pleasing, right? But it's because you care about people's opinions, and there's nothing wrong with that for now. But hopefully over time we can care a little bit less about other people's opinions. All right. I really struggle with wanting to have sex when I'm already overstimulated. I feel like today seem like young children are being touched all day. At the end of the day, the last thing I want. Right. So this is why, like, the video I posted a video today about sensory overload. Yeah, I posted today, and this is why it's so important to talk about this, right? Because now, Jenna, you could say all of this to your partner, right? This same sentence you wrote right here. You can tell your partner this at the end of the day, and they could still be like, I was looking forward to being intimate tonight, and I'm still upset, right? But it's one thing to at least be able to explain yourself. I think that the other person would be able to be more empathetic and say, oh, okay. Especially if they understand ADHD and sensory overload, and how it could affect not only people who are ADHD, but autistic people, and just people in general. So once your partner knows that, then the tendency for them to be like, you know what, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. We don't have to do anything tonight. Like, let's work through it. The tendency for them to think that way is a bit higher, even if they don't think that way. But that's why it's so important to be able to figure out what's going on. Because sometimes people can't put a name to it. They're just like annoyed by like the bright lights and like things are touching them, and they don't know what's up. You just know that you're in a pissy mood, right? And you just know that if somebody like crosses you the wrong way, you're gonna snap. But once you can say, "Oh, I'm overstimulated," and I have young kids and I have to go to work all day, and I'm trying to get some time for myself. That's why I don't feel like doing X, Y, and Z. Then you can get to the the solution much faster because you've diagnosed the problem. So thank you for dropping this comment in here. I really appreciate that. Um, can we talk about this? I had a high sex drive, but now nothing. So there's a lot of things that can kill sex drives. For one, medications can do it, right? I'll never forget. I had a patient who, this is like when I first started in Virginia, and I think I could have done better at explaining side effects, but I'll never forget. He was on 40 milligrams of Prozac, and I just restarted it from what his previous provider had, and I mean, he had already taken the medication before, so I thought he knew that antidepressants can like affect your sex drive. But he came in, and he was like, "I'm gonna stop the medications," because you didn't tell me that it can mess up my sex drive. And I'm like, "Oh, my bad. I should have mentioned that, right?" I still believe in medications, but that's one medication, or that's a group of medications that can sometimes cause like a low sex drive and killing. And sometimes you just might stop liking the person, and you don't want to have sex, or maybe grief, or I mean, so many things can affect it, right? But if you know that you just don't have a drive, and like you want your partner to chill out, just you know it's you can't just say chill out, right? You can, but you might just say, hey, I don't know what's up, but right now I'm just not feeling it, and hopefully I'll be able to tell you why a little bit later on, but right now I just don't feel it, right? And no is really a complete sentence, right? We don't really owe anybody any explanation after no, you know. All right, and all right. I let my husband know when I am touched out that he respects that and knows I need space. I like that a lot. I like that a lot because that type of communication, like even for kids to see that is cool because as they get older, they know about boundaries and consent and like, hey, like I need my space right now. I think it's cool whenever somebody's like, hey, like how do you feel? Or like maybe they'll put their hand on your shoulder and they'll say, hey, like, is it okay if I touch you? This is a married woman saying that this is how her husband and her communicate. So I think this can apply to just about everybody. My sex drive is like a sloth on Xanax. Wow, I've never seen it described like that before. And my husband's like a ferret on meth. Wow. Okay. Wow. I had a baby not that long ago, and I'm just exhausted. Wow. So the way you described it is like I've never seen anybody describe it like that. So that's cool. I had a baby not that long ago, and I'm just exhausted. All right. So Lauren, what we're working with here is where you're at, right? And even if you so before we talk about the other person, you have to talk about yourself, right? You just had a baby, right? And having a baby is a major life event. I don't know if this is your first child or not, but having a baby is a major life event. So first of all, congratulations on the baby. I want to say that. Second of all, in the postpartum period, I think is you have to normalize, giving the woman space to just like be herself. Because a lot of times I think you go from carrying a baby for 8 to 9 months straight into giving care, and there's no break, right? And then after like a couple of months, you gotta go right back to work, and it's boom, 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 right? So I can see how you'd be exhausted, right? So there's nothing wrong with being exhausted. And now comes the hard part, right? The hard part is where like you don't want to disappoint your husband, right? But at the same time, you want to speak up for yourself, So just be able to articulate how you feel, like just how you said it right here. I had a baby recently, and I'm just exhausted. There's nothing wrong with being just exhausted, right? And you've had a baby, and you're doing the best that you can. So don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself, But whatever however close you can get to explain this to your husband, I think can be like a game changer, right? Because there's nothing wrong with being overstimulated, exhaust, like that's life. Like we get to that point, And one of the worst things that we can do is when we feel like we're at 0%, or when you feel like you're at 5%, right, with your phone, you know it's time to go find a charger. Like right now, my phone is on a charger because I keep forgetting to charge the phone. So like it's on a charger. Likewise, when you're at 5%, with your energy level, you may not want to spend that last 5% having sex, right? As great as sex is, like if we're at 5%, we have to recharge ourselves for us as a human being so that we can just function as a person, right? So please don't feel any shame about feeling this way, and just know that whatever progress you can make towards being transparent and speaking up for yourself, right? Even if you don't get the desired result, just speaking up for yourself feels good. You feel like, all right, like I didn't betray myself. Like I Lauren did what Lauren had to do for Lauren, right? And that's a really good feeling. It's a really good feeling. All right. Sharon, what's going on? Sharon's an OG. I like this topic as well. And body boundaries is a big thing right now for us in our household with 2 young children. Yeah, and the reason why I like that is because as kids, like nobody ever told me about boundaries and consent and all these different things. So the kids that are growing up right now, if they see their parents, their older siblings, their uncles or aunts, if they see the people that are older than them, like operate and talk about boundaries and consent and respecting each other and being kind, then as they get older, then that's just a standard, right? Nobody may have taught us this, but now that we know, I do think it's our responsibility to let the kids know, And I Mickey 50, so I'm having an ADHD moment right now. I don't have any water for so I might be out of water, like completely. So let me go get whatever I have to drink. It's not gonna be alcohol, don't worry. But let me go get something to drink so we can get to my favorite part of the show. 1 second. Come on, Zoe. Yes, about that time. All right, so I lied. I do have water. And I also have a little bit of cran grape. I'm gonna just go ahead and kill this at the same time. So can somebody drop the magic word in so we can get? Oh, shoot, never mind. Somebody drop the magic word. All right, y'all. For tonight, double cheers. That water break feels so good. Lauren says, thank you so much. From the time I wake up, from the time I go to sleep, I do for everyone but me. And I'm working on speaking up for myself without waiting until the last minute where it comes off rude and combative. Yeah, Lauren, and sometimes just doing a time audit, and you probably don't have to do it because you know you're busy, but when you do a time audit, you'll see really where you spend your time. And then you'll see that, oh, wow, I'm doing for kids, husband, work, boss, blah, 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 blah. And you see that, dang, the whole day I had no Lauren time, right? And then if you're able to give yourself just a little bit of extra time throughout the day to just do for you, you'll feel so much better, right? Because when you're exhausted, when you're on 5%, nobody's worried about sex. Nobody's worried about nothing physical, like 5%. At 5%, you're just trying to be like a human being again and just feel like and be able to think clearly, So don't judge yourself. All right, let me get a couple of questions real quick. And yeah, Jesse, happy Labor Day, everybody. Happy Labor Day. Um, why do women reject me because of my ADHD? How do I handle rejection? Life is unfair. Well, Max, life is unfair. I hate to say it, and I hate that life is unfair. I hate that that's how things are. And for me, I've come to radically accept. Radical acceptance is a part of DBT. But not to get off topic, but I've come to radically accept the fact that life is not fair, and sometimes the ball just won't go my way, and I just have to deal with it. But then hopefully the next thing will go my way, right? But talking about the first part, why do women reject me because of my ADHD, and how do I handle rejection? So, I, how do you know that they're rejecting you because of your ADHD? That's my thing. Like, I don't know if we're so sure. Like, um, now unless she said, "I don't want to be with you because you have ADHD," because if she said that, then But the likelihood that she said that is not high. But we can't we can't change certain things about ourselves, right? Like, Max, you can't change like your height. You can't change the color of your skin. You cannot change the fact that you have ADHD. So you're gonna have to learn how to live with it and put yourself in a position to succeed. So if she, like, I would even ask the question, why do women reject me because of my ADHD? I'm not going to ask that question. I'll say, hey, Sheila, Caitlin, Shelby, whoever, they just didn't want me, and that's fine. That's their loss, right? And in terms of handling rejection, rejection is going to come. Rejection is coming for all of us, all 200 people watching this right now, and everybody who's going to watch this after the fact. Rejection is coming to us one day or another, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week. We're going to feel rejection in some capacity, whether it's at work, school, with a job opportunity or whatever, or with somebody that you're interested in. Rejection is coming for all of us, and learning to accept rejection as it comes, right? Because accept rejection is the same as, like, an approval of something. Like, sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. But learn to accept everything and take it in and make it work for you, right? I believe that things happen for us, right? So, Max, maybe if the woman in the past didn't reject you, like, who knows? In 3 weeks from now, you may be at Starbucks. You turn around, you see the most beautiful woman in your life, and then that's your next girlfriend. Like, I don't know, right? But that may not have happened if you didn't get rejected, right? So I believe that things, happen for us, and if we can reframe things in our mind, right? If we can use that cognitive reframing to, make it to where things do work out for us, then it's a good life skill to have. Is a good life skill to have, because rejection is going to happen for us in some way, and it's going to happen soon for all of us. Like, it's just a part of life. So this is beyond dating, beyond all of that. It's just like a life skill to have. But don't think that they reject you because of your ADHD. Like, it's just their loss. Max, is their loss, straight up. Julie, I appreciate you. Thank you. You can do everything right and still get rejected. The concept is what. Morgan, thank you very much. I gotta give Morgan a love of the show right here. A definite love of the show for Morgan, because you can do everything right and still get rejected, right? And at that point, it's like, all right, it just wasn't the right person. Like, I went to the moon and back for this person, and they didn't want me. So at that point, it's a them problem. It's not a us problem. 1 second. Hey, mom, how you doing? We, yeah. Can I call you back? I'll call you back in like 5 minutes. Okay. All right. Love you, mom. Yeah, I'm gonna call my mom back shortly. The app is called Groupthink. If you're talking about the app for the ADHD app that I'm releasing, is Groupthink. And if you go to groupthink.com, you can sign up for it. And that way, when the app is released, it'll be released this month. Once it's released, you can get the notification. Put mom on speaker. My mom is super private. Oh boy. All right, let me get one two more questions real quick. Thank you for answering this one for Max. People need to learn more about RSD and not project their pain on others. Men and women is not unfair. It's life. It's their loss. Yeah, Jesse. It's the other person's loss, right? And whether it's fair or not, like like we should still do our best to correct inequalities in the system and fight for justice. When there's people who are, not getting certain rights as other people, right? We should still fight for those rights. But at the same time, I do remind myself that, dang, life is not fair, and we're just doing the best that we can, right? And let me see. When I used to date, I was so scared to disclose ADHD. The one person I felt most comfortable to disclose was my husband, and he has been so supportive. I like that. I want to end the show here because this is such a nice, happy ending right here. Let me give Yesenia a love of the show. And this is a good example of what a relationship should look like. And keep in mind, I don't know the whole details between Yesenia and her husband, but if you're afraid to disclose something, and especially something like a diagnosis, which carries a lot of shame, and you feel comfortable with somebody enough to tell them, and then you get a good reaction from that person, and they continue to be supportive, at that point, it makes you feel like a human being. It makes you feel so, so, so good. And I'm sure Yesenia can attest to this. When you go through an experience like this and you find the person who supports you 1,000%, then you tell yourself, you're like, wow, how could I have dealt with anything less than this? And that's what I want for everybody who's watching this live. I want this for Max. I want this for anybody. I want this for myself. I'm talking to myself too. It's not a matter of, if this person's bad or good. I don't think people are bad or good. Is this person good for you? Are they bad for you? It's more so of compatibility, as opposed to like somebody just being black or white, good or bad, right? So like this is the goal right here. So just knowing that this is possible, and we know this is possible because she just commented it and we have it up on the screen here. So knowing this is possible, it lets all of us know that, hey, you can have a diagnosis, and it doesn't mean that you should leave the dating game forever. Maybe take a break if you want, sure, but there are going to be people out there who will support you regardless of whatever you have, and even going beyond dating, right? Just with friends, because it's a people game. People need people, like we all need each other, and it's good to have a group of people around you, whether it's your romantic partner, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family members, whether it's a coworker. It's just nice to have people around you who don't judge, and they're like, hey man, like, whatever you got going on, like, I don't care about it. Like, we're still friends. I'm gonna support you, and I'll hold you accountable. You'll hold me accountable, but I'm not worried about who you are. I'm not worried about, the diagnosis you have, or like if you're different from other people. I'm just gonna respect you as a person. So like this is a really, really nice way to end the live. I like this. I like this. Yee! We're having fun here. We're having fun. All right. So, hold up. Let me answer this question real quick, Celia, because it looks like a really good question, and then we will and Cassie, I hope to visit other countries soon, like England, and we're gonna get there. But Celia says, how to discern between a real connection with someone and a dopamine hit. How can one tell the difference? All right, Cecilia, I'll say this. In the beginning, you I don't want to speak in absolutes. I don't want to say everybody with ADHD or everybody will experience this, but in the beginning, it's going to be really hard to tell the difference between a real connection and a dopamine hit. And at least for me personally, a lot of times in the beginning, it's been damn near impossible. Like I cannot tell. Like literally, I'm like, is this a dopamine hit or is this like a real connection? It's really, really hard to tell. And people could be good actors, right? Or sometimes people aren't self-aware to know that they're saying what you want to hear so that they can be accepted by you, but they don't really like you, right? It gets complicated, but that's why I had the 3 rules for y'all, like to pace yourself while dating, spend only one day with them a week if you're unsure, and if there's no connection, kill it as soon as possible, right? And these things are going to allow you to take your time and see like is this somebody that I actually like, right? And I wouldn't make a big life decision or any decision if I'm not doing the basics correctly, right? And what are the basics? when I say the mental basics, getting enough sleep, getting a little bit of exercise, and doing your best to put food that's gonna, promote your health in your body. Those are the three basics. If you're doing those things right, then okay, maybe we're in a place where we can kind of like evaluate things. But if your routine's off and you're kind of going through it, just give yourself some time. Just like breathe for a second. Give yourself some time and breathe and figure out what's going on. But at least for me, like, you know, especially with all that I'm doing online and like, all that stuff does make dating like much more difficult for me. Like I ask myself, like I don't say it out loud audibly, but like I ask myself internally, does this person know like Kojo, not Dr. Kojo? There's a difference, right? I'm still Dr. Kojo, but does this person have they made an effort to get to know like you, right? Celia, the person, not Celia as whatever they want, but like, are they asking questions that show that they want to get to know you? And are they doing things that show that they understand you? Like if you've mentioned a million times, hey, I get easily overstimulated, and I really appreciate it when people, ask me before they touch me. And this person comes to you every time, they're like, hey, Celia, what's up? What's up? It's a dopamine hit. That person clearly does not have a connection with you because they're not listening. If they were listening, they would know that you don't like to be touched without permission, right? So then you can tell, oh, this is supposed to be a dopamine hit, right? So sometimes if we can just take a step back and zoom out, it gives us time to really look at the situation with clearer lens, and we can really figure out like what's actually going on, right? Hey, John, I appreciate you. This is cool. I know it's late, I know it's late in general, but I got the idea. I'm like, ooh, I gotta go live with this one because if I don't go live with it, then the idea will be stale tomorrow. And I'm like, ah. So I was like, let me go live while I had the inspiration. So, all right, I do have to get off. I gotta call my mom and then get to a couple of stuff, but I gotta call my mom back first. But take care, and tomorrow I'll see you all for the late night show, 6 p.m. California time, 9 o'clock on the East Coast. So until then, take care. And Shan, you're right. it is a challenge, but that's not my focus right now. My focus is growing this brand. All right, y'all take care. Love y'all. This is dope.